I'm a blogger, I'm a survivor, a 10-pound passage child immigrant, wife, mum, foster mum of toddlers, teens, special needs, and an angel. I welcome challenge, adventure, and organised chaos as a part of the path that I walk in life. I'm raising 8 kids, sculling coffee, and fighting to get fit. But if things get too calm, there's always the goat. I'm Jules, blogger on the bumpiest path.
Apparently I should write a book, or so I've been told for the past 15 years. I couldn't think of anything more dull than sitting and writing pages and pages of dull stories. How ironic. 2011, like so many other dull, neglected evenings, I sat online surfing late one night when I hit a wave. I decided to jump on board and ride that wave. I had no idea where it headed, and that wave was Blogger. Like a child in the Pied Piper story, I clicked, followed, and by midnight I had been beached and became a blogger. I shut the lid on my laptop, slipped into bed exhausted. Finally, I had a new adventure to grip onto. Perhaps it would keep my head above water, keep me sane amongst chaos of raising at that time 9 kids, of which 6 were foster kids, and 1 had severe aggressive behavioural issues caused by the drugs and alcohol that his parents had consumed before his birth. Perhaps it would also keep me company in the lonely world of being an IT widow. As I drifted into sleep, I pondered what I had done, and I wondered what blogging was all about. My usual behaviour had once again struck. Dive first, think later. I had no idea what I had stepped into, how far it reached, or where it would eventually lead me. If I had known the future, I would have run, because running was the only thing that I knew how to do well, and I don't mean fitness running. So I'm a blogger. What now? I spent countless nights enjoying drag and drop, designing and playing with my blog. It was my space. It was like a space in my head. No one could see in, and I could be me. I had discovered the private option. I could write to my heart's content. I could rant, rave, cry, whinge and whine, and no one could tell me off. No one could judge me or criticise me. And for the first time in years, I had an outlet. I slowly started to feel like I had a voice. It didn't matter that no one could read it. Besides, at that time, I had no idea there was an audience out there. That's right, I had never read a blog. I was unaware of the blogosphere. I was totally wrapped up in a world all of my own. It was therapy and a hobby rolled into one. Like my life and my past, it was chaotic. Blog design changed frequently. As I played and tried to work out who I was on my blog, I was totally and happily oblivious to the outside world. Meanwhile, I discovered Twitter. Amidst laughter and warning from others, I discovered a world of friendship and fellowship apart from my everyday chaos and stress, a place to escape reality, a place where I could be me. Some go there to be someone else, but I wanted to be the real me, not the shouting, stressed, grieving person in real life, but me. This was where I could play and learn and experiment without judgment, or so I thought. It was this world that I experienced the world of haters. It was through that I also discovered other blogs. I read them amazed, excited, and totally overwhelmed as I discovered blog after blog and realised there was a huge universe of blogs and bloggers. I gained the confidence and knowledge to launch my blog. And at first, this new world of blogging consumed my world. It was my escape from my world. It was my key to sanity and survival. It became a key, and with each turn, my past was unlocked. As I dug deep for stories to write, memories flooded back, and with them, feelings and tears. I was forced to confront my own world, my real world. My blog was becoming my story. I entered this world with Survivor stamped on my butt, like a signature Cabbage Patch doll. I had already been bounced downstairs and dunked in boiling water, in a hot bath, in a desperate attempt to induce a miscarriage. The 60s was no era to have a baby out of wedlock, let alone 2. The first time I shared this brief story, I was told, "Wow, one day you should write a book." Heavily frowned upon, my unwed mother of not 1 but 2 bastards was approached by welfare and promised a rainbow with a pot of gold, now commonly known as the 10-pound passage. The prospect of new beginnings, new adventures, and a chance to be child-free had my mother sign on the dotted line, and in 1972 boarded the one-way flight to Australia. Upon landed, we were collected and driven, as per agreement, to Fairbridge Farm School, a children's home, where my mother handed us over, waved goodbye, turned her back and walked away. Get yourself a husband and a home and you can have your kids back, was what she was told. That was the deal. That was the pot of gold. When I share this, I'm told, wow, one day you should write a book. By the age of 19, I had left school, worked, quit, returned to school, graduated year 12 as a homeless youth, just able to tell my stepfather where to stick it. Returned to England, discovered my real father, discovered my criminal links. And yes, not only is my path incredibly bumpy, but so too is that of my family past, and I returned back to Australia again. By the time I was 21, I had been tricked into a date by an amazing man who was too good for me. 2 more dates, we were engaged. We married 8 months later, and no, it wasn't a shotgun wedding. An amazing man who saw my craziness and loved it. Drawn to my fun, independent ways, he stepped into a world unknown compared to his stable, loving upbringing. Like a knight on a white horse, he rode in and swept me onto his horse and rode away with me over the horizon. Born to hike a bumpy path, there was to be no happily ever after, because that does not really exist outside of fairy tales. By the time I was 25, I had experienced miscarriage, followed by the joy of becoming a mum. And I found where my heart belonged, in being the mum that I had never had. I went on to have another miscarriage, followed by another baby, only this time something was terribly wrong. My beautiful boy had a non-hereditary genetic mutation called Williams syndrome. Our world was sent into chaos, followed by the birth of child number 3, despite birth control. 3 kids under the age of 3, 1 disabled and in need of heart surgery. After another, yet miscarriage, child 4 was born in 1999, and in 2001, child number 2 was taken from us. A portion of extremely rocky and bumpy path that no parent should ever have to walk. Unable to be revived after intense heart surgery, I held him in my arms, stared at the tubes hanging from his mouth, and begged and ached for him to return to his body. I whispered into his ear, I prayed, and I waited until they let me wait no more. And that night, left alone on the other side of the country, I almost walked under a bus. So extreme is that grief of a mother who loses her child. My walking boots for life were full of holes, worn thin from kicking boulders off my path. I was going under, and of life of struggles I felt like going under. However, staying at the Ronald McDonald House, I found I was not alone, and others walked a similar path, and for the first time, I realised that my path was not unique. From then on, I decided that everything I had suffered could be used to help another walking their path. No more woe is me. I took deep breaths and realised that my path was bumpy, but there were others who were walking bumpier paths. I tied up my laces, I stood up straight, I wiped away my tears, and I marched on for the sake of the 3 remaining beautiful children and my amazing, tolerant husband, and I decided it was time to hike my path, not just walk it. Time to wear thicker, stronger, supportive hiking boots, kit myself up with the correct rough terrain hiking tools, and conquer this path, metaphorically speaking, of course. I was by now tired of people telling me that I should write a book. Maybe one day I'll find the time. Fostering children became a heavy, consumable part of our life. It was a part that I felt most comfortable in, that I related to. Child after child came and went, sometimes in a day, a night, a week, a year. Scared kids, damaged kids, babies, toddlers, and teens. We became foster parents because I wanted to reach out to others living a childhood like mine, to give them a glimmer of hope, stars in their eyes, and show them how to hike, not walk, their path successfully. In one short hour, so much can be planted into a child's mind, and it doesn't always have to be evil. 65 children in all passed through our home until 6 stayed and later 5 never left. Sadly, on top of the intense grief that I had already suffered in losing a son, despite 6 hard and committed years fostering from birth, the child with aggression was too damaged for me to handle, a weakness in my own mind, another failing, another huge pothole in our bumpy path. Blogging helped me cope. I found solace in my writing and support in a realm that I never expected to find it. Not once did I receive judgment or hate, only outstretched cyber arms and support. Blogging began as an accident, pretty much in life with how I began, and it grew into snippets of my life story. As people email me and say thank you for sharing, thank you for letting me know that I'm not alone in what I've been through, I've been inspired to turn my hurts, my failures, my grief, and my failings into shared stories that reach my cyber arm out and over the shoulders of another hiking a difficult path. More recently, I also step out, share my successes, adventures, fun times, and strength so that those are struggling and encouraged can have hope that their bumpy, rough, and dark path can be hiked along the way. The sun does shine, the ground flattens out, and there are streams, flowers, and good times. I blog for me, I blog for you. I blog for anyone who has ever been unwanted and unloved. I blog for everyone who's been betrayed, abused, neglected, and hurt. I blog the good and the bad. I blog my journey, my stumbles, my skinned knees, and my successful climbs up beautiful hills with amazing life views. I blog toddler tales and teen tribulations, victories, ADHD adventures, and drug-damaged nightmares. I blog love and romance of a 21-year-old marriage, and I blog the frustrations of everyday life. Of late, I've taken to blogging totally high on caffeine with my new love of coffee desserts. I also blog for every email received that merely says, "Thank you, I know I'm not alone." My path in life is incredibly bumpy. I have a strong feeling I was born to hike a bumpy path. I will continue to hike that bumpy path with every ounce of energy, determination, and decision to make it a fun and amazing hike. If it wasn't meant to succeed and conquer this path, I would never have succeeded right back at the start by being born. As I stumble and stomp along, I will continue to share, encourage, and blog on the bumpiest path. Thank you.